When he suddenly appeared in my world, my heart sank. It was a terrible surprise to realize that the prophecies were true. Unlike some who take comfort in faith, I had always trusted the natural order of things, the cycle of life and death. This was, I suppose, another part of the cycle, a piece of proof that we are not traveling in a straight line, but in a spiraling mandala. Still, his presence took my breath away, and I feared the worst, knowing what his death foretold. Despite our differences, I would like to think we were friends. Perhaps I could say that of almost all residents of my realm. Against their better judgment, everyone here becomes partial to me in one way or another. Not everyone can be a warrior. We do not all have seats in Valhalla, Valkyries to guide us through the gates, my siblings reveling in the joy that they bring to the dead souls who seek them. That fate awaits a chosen few. Their realm is the one that everyone likes to tell stories about round the fire, the road to glory and victory and all that hollow nonsense. If everyone knew that their worldly deeds would one day be lightly reduced to a rambling shadow, a fading memory alongside gray lakes, they might not be so pleased to glorify the afterlife. I understand what it's like to not be chosen. You will not see my face at the table with Odin and Freya. Frankly, not many would want to gaze upon it. I have grown accustomed to it as I have no choice. It is mine, after all. If I gaze into the clearest dark streams in my realm, I can catch a glimpse of my wise dark eyes gazing back at me, glancing at the rotting flesh that encases my left side, and the dewy skin that shrouds my right. I could draw my features from memory after running my hands over my face in wonder as a child. Why did I not look like my siblings? Those simple creatures with just one face, why must I have two, containing the duality of all existence in my own countenance? Though I have never resented my role, I do wonder what it must be like to be so pure, like a single-sided coin. Baldur gasped when he saw my face. One moment he was shocked by the force of a mistletoe spear piercing his invulnerable skin. The next he was confronted with death herself. Am I really death, though? I cannot take any souls from the living. All I do is give them shelter once they have departed that land. I have been called selfish for harboring so many souls without returning them, but I didn't make the rules. I simply hold the threads of fate together and weave them into a tapestry, intertwining death with life, time with distance, and shape to the entropy which consumes us. Regardless, Baldur had found himself not in Valhalla surrounded by Valkyries, but alone, in a field by my side. His divine light still shone as bright as ever, not dulled by his rapid journey between realms. Where am I? You know where you are. Of course he knew. They always know, but they think that perhaps if they ask, it won't be real, and they will wake up from death like a bad dream. He was supposed to be alive and protected by his mother's meticulous care, not asking silly questions of a two-faced goddess. I had a question for him, though. Do you know why you're here and what this means? Baldur took a moment to collect himself and looked around. Perhaps my realm was not as bad as he thought it would be. He asked if we might sit together for a moment in silence. I granted him this, watching as his eyes scanned his surroundings. He really was as beautiful as he has always been described by the mortals, radiating the kind of light and love that made a person feel like they were the only presence in the world. His kind gaze touched a sadness in me that I thought I had lost long ago, but I knew ultimately that I could not save him from the battles to come. It had to have been Loki. Only he would deal me this cruel hand and find a way to blame it on another. He told me how in Asgard everyone knew he couldn't be harmed and treated it like an inside joke between friends. He was used to having spears lobbed at him with a laugh, an expression of love rather than hate. This moment was different. He knew Blind Hog meant him no harm, and yet here he was. The only explanation could be Loki, the trickster. He must have been the one who crafted the weapon and somehow knew his weakness. He was loved by everyone. Loki loved no one. You know this was all a terrible mistake. May I return to my family now? I gazed at Baldur's face, wishing I could make it so. I sighed, knowing that each moment just brought us closer to our ultimate unraveling, knowing that even after death, we want to be stitched back together. How could he feel at ease with this grand spooling and unspooling of time, the expansions and contractions of our world? I realized that not everyone is so at home with entropy, that this sort of chaos is unsettling to many. To me, that's all I have known. Decay is my domain. Even in my old home of Asgard, my very presence made the others feel uncomfortable. I was one of them, but also not. No one likes to be reminded of their innate frailty, the passage of time, the inevitable decline and transformation. I gave Baldur the seat of honor in my court beside me. He was unhappy about being trapped, but I saw no reason that he should suffer needlessly. He spent his time by my side, and though his company was welcome, I knew that he did not think of me fondly. He saw me as a captor instead of an agent of the natural flow of time. He was not the first. Shortly after Baldur's arrival, he had a visitor in my realm. "I have come for Baldur," Hermund announced as he strode into my halls. He had traveled so far to see Baldur and took the task of rescuing him with his own characteristic boldness. His eyes glowed with unshed tears when he gazed up at his brother seated beside me in my court. He begged me to let Baldur go, telling me of the overwhelming mourning for him in the world above. Looking into the eyes of his bleeding brother, I offered Baldur a deal. If every creature in every realm would proclaim their love for him and their overwhelming grief at his absence, I would find a way to return him. It was the best I could do given the circumstances. I'm subject to the whims of the world just as he is. Baldur accepted this bargain bravely, serenely confident that he inspired the sort of universal adoration not seen before or since in our worlds. From what I heard, the messengers of the gods flew far and wide over the realm of Aesir, imploring all those living to proclaim their love for Baldur. The message was simple: declare your love and weep to bring the beloved Baldur back from the realm of hell, or spurn him to resign him to a life by her side. Frigg was wringing her hands with worry about her son Baldur and wanted nothing more than to see him return to Asgard. The messengers gave her hope with their reports that Baldur was indeed well loved and people were happy to sing his praises. At last the task was done. Every creature had unanimously wept for Baldur, drowned in their tears of grief, and agreed that he was the most beloved of the gods. The messengers were satisfied, knowing that they had completed their end of my bargain. Baldur was loved by all and was entitled by the rules of the bargain to come home. Pity that they encountered trouble along the way in the form of an old giantess. She was a stranger to the messengers, a recluse in a cave. She refused to weep for Baldur, refused, knowing that it took just one damnation to curse him into Helheim forever. Before that day, none had known her, but by the end, she was infamous. So Baldur stayed in my realm, another soul to keep me company as I keep watch over the threads of time. I heard a rumor that Loki got so drunk at a party that he admitted that he was the rueful giantess that ultimately cursed Baldur, as if one time killing him was not enough. Of course it was Loki all along. The truths that I held back, the ones that told of the destructions to come, the rending of the universe, the ultimate undoing that would spark the next regeneration, this was the first moment that started us down that path, hurtling towards a known destination. The gods called it Ragnarok. They fear that it will be the end of all things, but I know better. The gods will die. The gods will rise again.